What's good everyone, it's Zigzag here, welcome back to another Geoguessr video. If you didn't know, AI generated world is my favorite map on Geoguessr. Especially on no moving, panning or zooming, all the rounds are just really interesting or difficult, and it includes some of the most interesting regions of the world a lot as well. Anyway, back at the start of this year, I grinded this map an insane amount and ended up with the world record at 40 countries in a row. However, later on, Stique pulled a world record attempt of 64, and recently Antec also beat me as well. So the goal of today's video is to get as many countries as we possibly can in a row. You're gonna see how punishing this map is and why the record still remains so low, and we're gonna see if we can come at least close to Stique. So, you know, the pressure's off. 64 is a huge total, and let's just get as close as we possibly can, and I'll explain all the rounds as well. So first one here is immediately starting off difficult. I'm not sure which country this is. It feels kind of Southeast Asian with the kind of orangish soil and the palms in the background, but I'm actually not sure which country fits the best. So Thailand came to mind first, but I could just as easily see it being Malaysia, Indonesia, maybe even Philippines. The fact that it's so flat is a bit confusing as well. So yeah, overall not really too sure where this is. I think I would maybe try like Kalimantan or Sumatra or something like that here. And it was actually Mexico, so that was a very difficult round. There wasn't too much going on, to be fair, but there you go, AI generated world. It's not AI generated by the way. I think most of these locations are handpicked and they're very difficult. It really shows. Okay, this one's just somewhere in New Zealand. It was indeed South Island, so there we go. We're on our first country streak there. This one's also New Zealand, so New Zealand is pretty gettable, and I'm not meant to like move my cursor off the screen, but basically there's like a possum guard here on the concrete pole, and that's just very common to see in New Zealand. So yeah, pretty easy one there. Next one here, we have a Brazilian style pole, green light. I'm not really sure where that means again, but this should just be somewhere in Brazil, and it was actually all the way in Manaus. So yeah, I guess that's probably a metaphor over there. Next one here, we have a long antenna. We have a normal looking guardrail here. Given that it's a normal looking guardrail without the kind of wide gap, I would say it's less likely to be Croatia because you normally see that there. So maybe this would be Montenegro instead. Nevertheless, it did kind of look quite Croatian. So maybe I'm misreading the guardrail here. I think I have to trust that this, it is interesting because the road line's also kind of thick, which is something you often see in Croatia. I mean, regardless, the streak is still pretty low, so I'm not really too worried here. It was indeed Montenegro. Good to trust the guardrails, generally speaking. And the last one here will be New Zealand again. Big ferns here are the main reason, plus this kind of dirtish road. Quite typical of North New Zealand, so let's see if we're right, and it was North. So there we go, that was a 3 New Zealand seed. Ziggy would be very proud, but there we go. We've got 5 countries in a row here, so not a bad beginning at all. Let's just see if we can build on that. Next one here, ooh, feels kind of Croatian this time. Houses would also fit. I guess the question is, could this be France, Serbia, something like that? I think houses did kind of feel more Eastern European, but I can definitely see, with France, I think this kind of sign reminded me a bit of France. Some of this kind of vegetation as well. So yeah, not straightforward by any stretch of the imagination here. I'm actually not sure which country I prefer overall. It's one of those, most times when you lose your streak on this map, it is in Europe. Obviously, we lost on Mexico so far, but I would say most times it is in Europe. And I want to try France here, actually. This sign just reminds me of France somewhat. I think it is slightly better than like Croatia, Montenegro, that kind of thing. And it was actually France there. I'm pretty proud of that guess. That was not an easy round. Just something about the vibe. Anyway, next one here, I mean, ooh. My first thought was Nigeria, but I also thought, could this be the tripod coverage in Mali? I think this big blur over here would say no, but sometimes you do get like some stuff in like Timbuktu and a few other places. Regardless, I will try up here in Kano. I think that's going to be correct. It's definitely not India, where you also get this camera quality, and it was up here in Sokoto. So there we go, we moved to 7. Next one here, again, not so easy, though it looks like we have Spanish bollards, so that saves us here with the orange reflectors. That makes life nice and easy. Okay, you don't get those in Portugal, so that's pretty easy. Next one here, interesting houses. So we have round concrete poles here. We have fairly like gravelly roads, so my first instinct was that this was maybe like Bulgaria or Turkey. And the pole tops here, I don't know, this could actually be Turkey rather than Bulgaria. The houses felt a bit more Bulgarian, but the landscape and the road might be a bit more Turkish. I don't know, it's actually one of those rare occasions where those two countries can look quite similar if you don't really see any infrastructure like signage or anything like that. I'm really in a bit of a bind at the moment. I think I actually may try Turkey here, but maybe European Turkey. I would not be surprised if this is right on the border. And the main thing that's making me want to go Turkey over Bulgaria here is this kind of gravelly road. So we'll see if I'm right about that. Let's send it here. And it was Turkey. That's actually another nice guess. So we're on 9 now. Let's just keep running it up. 40 is not seeming that far away when you move at this pace. Next one here is difficult though. So it's fairly dry here. Guardrails are fairly normal looking. We have fairly thin road lines here. So you'd normally expect to see thicker ones in like Romania, for example, so I don't think we're there. This could be Bulgaria this time. I could definitely see that. I don't think it was Turkey. I'm just trying to think of other options here. So like Hungary could certainly work, and they have thinner road lines than Romania normally, I would say. The trees as well. I don't really know what kind of vibe I get off them. They're not quite like super warm climate trees. They're also not super cold climate trees. So yeah, I mean, I guess my main thoughts are like northern Bulgaria, southern, like Hungary, something like that. And maybe out of them, I prefer Bulgaria. I don't know, it's a difficult round. I'm just going to try it here. And it was indeed Bulgaria. Another really nice guess. Honestly, these rounds have not been easy. I mean, actually, the Spain was easy and the Nigeria was easy enough. But these three, very proud of those guesses, very much so. And it was an all-Europe affair, apart from the Africa. So that's really nice as well. Next one here, Kyrgyzstan with the red on the number plate. That makes life nice and easy when you see those. Just send in Bishkek here, and it was nearby. Okay, let's go for a high score this time as well. Ooh, this is difficult. This is difficult. So, obviously when you see the kind of dirt road popping up here, you do think of like the Baltic nations. However, I'm not quite sure if I love them. My main thought in that direction would probably be Estonia. But the road is really wide for Estonia. Like, you don't typically get super wide roads in Estonia. So that makes things a bit dubious. Then maybe Russia is somewhat in the question here. The thing, like, I could definitely see like Kaliningrad or Pskov working decently. But, I mean, when I said Kaliningrad, I meant Leningrad. But I think my main thought here is actually Canada for some reason. Wide dirt road is something you see quite often in Canada. It's very, like, scrubby here, like there's no fence or anything, which is maybe leaning me more Europe, but it's just the thickness of the road and the trees being a little bit unfamiliar that makes me want to try Canada here, and I think I will try it, though it is a pretty frustrating round. So yeah, I'm gonna go for it here. Let's see if we're right about that. And it was Estonia, my very first thought there. Definitely an atypical road for Estonia, but you have to remember on this map that these are hand-picked locations to be atypical, so sometimes you are just gonna get that kind of thing. Next one here, we have a monkey puzzle tree. So these ones are typically found, I think, in line with like, is it like in line with Temuco or something like that? Around San Carlos here, I believe. So we'll just go a bit north of San Carlos here. And yeah, it was around, yeah, in line with Temuco, that's right. So yeah, those are really useful trees to know. They're relatives of the Parana pines, which you see in Paraná in Brazil. Okay, next one here. This is an Orthodox church of some kind. Probably reminds me more of Ukraine than of Russia, so I'm just going to send it in here, but could be another country, and it was Serbian. Yeah, Serbian Orthodox. I don't really know how I could differentiate those two. I guess Serbia's a bit more forested and a bit more hilly, but, you know, very difficult, I think. Next one here is interesting. This almost felt like Australia off the bat here. I'm struggling to think where it actually would be. So the steering wheel appears to be on the right here, which would be a left-hand drive country, so certainly could still be Australia. I thought of Indonesia as well. Yeah, these little shacks here, I guess, don't feel super Australian, so maybe Indonesia could work. Malaysia is still an option as well. I don't know, there's a whole bunch of options here. We don't really see too much at all. It is an interesting round, just not much info. So I guess I will try. I thought of Colombia as well, just with these trees. Sun appears to be more northern, so that would fit for Indonesia better. I'm just going to try that because it looked like we were driving left-hand side of the road with this car, unless I'm mistaking something inside of it. But yeah, I'll just go for this and we'll see. And okay, it was actually in Kenya. So yeah, it was left-hand drive. Very difficult round there. And we come through with a 12,000 score, which for my standards is very low indeed. But that's okay. That's just what this map has to offer sometimes. Next one here, Canada, I would say. Double yellow lines is a bit weird, but I think it just felt like Canada to me, so I'll try it. Maybe it is US. No, it was Canada. Interesting. So, I mean, yeah, I just had to go with the vibe there, but yeah, double yellow lines are much more common in the US, generally speaking. Next one here, kind of ladder poles. Pole top looks French to me, could still be Spain, but I'll go southern France, and it was nice. Next one here, oh, this is a repeat, no? I think it's, no, it is just Thailand, but it's very similar to that, like, Colombia round that we had in the Rainbow quiz the other day. But yeah, this is just Thailand. Very nice. Next one here. Feels like the US to me. We have a danger sign here. That kind of like whole signage doesn't really look particularly American to me, like, you know, in terms of like specifically American, but this fence does with like the white reflectors at the top of the poles. So yeah, I was thinking maybe Texas here could work quite nicely. Oklahoma, Texas, maybe something. Was Texas, very nice. Next one here, Purple Road. I would have said, my first thought was Ukraine, like somewhere over here, but the longer I look at it, it looks like we have like a bunch of oak trees here and like very snow damaged road lines. So I think we actually might be Primorsky Krai, or maybe like Jewish Autonomous Oblast here or something like that here. Is that Jewish Autonomous Oblast? I think it was, yeah? Yeah. So I think those two could work quite nicely here. I might try that. And it was, yeah, it was Primorsky. Okay, nice. That was good. Good guess. You just have to kind of see that area a bunch. And yeah, where I sent was, where I actually made my guess just then, has a lot of overcast coverage, but down a bit further south, you get a lot of oak trees. So that's why I kind of thought it might be there too. Anyway, next one here, yellow lines plus yellow filled in sign plus left-hand drive. Should just be somewhere in Africa here, in South Africa more specifically, and that's good. Next one here, Botswana. This kind of like autumnish leaves. I think like often north of Francistown you get a bit of this coverage. Oh no, it's this one. Yeah, this road also has autumn coverage. Yep. Next one here, US or Canada. The wooden posts holding up the like guardrail here is quite a Canadian thing, but certainly seeable in the US as well. But I think the whole vibe is kind of northern here, so I do tend to prefer Canada here. If it was US, then yeah, just something around the Canadian border. I'll try Canada, and it was Canada on the New Brunswick side of things there. That makes sense. Next one here, fairly thick outer lines here. That's interesting to me. Also boxy houses, so have to be considering Poland here with that, but I'm not sure if I love Poland, nevertheless. I mean, the way the lines are kind of thicker on the outside than on the inside is something you see often in Poland, Czechia, Slovakia, and that kind of thing. So I could definitely consider those. Maybe even Slovakia here could be a good shout. Architecture probably feels more Slovakian than anything here, I think. So I'll probably try that. Also Czechia seeming more likely than Poland as well, in my opinion. We don't see any Skodas, which is a bit concerning. That might be a Skoda there, but ultimately most of these cars aren't Skodas. So could it even be like France or something? It's not out of the question here. This could just be modern French architecture mixed in with a bit of traditional stuff in the background. Not really sure how I feel about this, to be honest. Maybe even Baltic or something. No, the architecture is not Baltic. So, yeah, overall, I think I'll still try Slovakia. I'm curious about France, but ultimately, ooh, that almost feels like a French sound. Okay, let's count up French cars. So we have a Spanish car, French car, not sure. That also might be French, and that one I'm not sure. This one I'm not sure. That might be French as well. It honestly seems like a number of French cars. We also have bike lanes and kind of like longer center lines. So I'm actually gonna try France here after all. Now we have red roofs, so I guess we'll try like Dijon or something. Wow, Lyon. That's a really good guess as well. Not to toot my own horn, but like that really had an Eastern European vibe about it. So that kind of boxy architecture is odd for France, definitely. Okay, next one here, Russia. Think is the obvious choice. It could be Ukraine. I think Russia is just most likely. Not really sure where I'll go. Maybe like Kemerovo came to mind. It'll probably be Generation 4 camera. So I'll go at like Abakan here. And it was actually up here on the lake next to Finland, but that's okay. We got the requisite countries, and so we move forward happily here. And we're on to 10 now, I believe. So this is not a bad streak in the making. Next one here, Korean pole tops with a bended thing at the top. Feels very green. I'm not really sure what to make of it. I'll go down here. And it was Jeju. Yeah, that makes sense. Next one here, Malta with these rock walls. Yeah, I mean, you see them in other countries too. When they're kind of yellowish rock walls, should be there. And actually, I should have guessed Gozo, because that is definitely typical Gozo around, in my opinion. Next one here, I mean, US comes to mind immediately. Kind of feels like it might be kind of like a Louisiana type of vibe here or something like that. Maybe even Floridian. Just like super southern looking climate here. Lots of stilts houses as well. I do want to try like New Orleans area, but ultimately, like, I think like Florida's just as likely, and it was New Orleans there. Very good guess. Kind of had that vibe about it. Next one here, Nigerian coverage, low quality, camera again, and we got the follow car with the police car there. I'll go like somewhere here. I'm not really sure where it is. What's Kano? Yeah, Kano can get quite green as well. Next one here, Korea, Korean pole top, Korean, yellow line in the center, all that kind of thing. And also the winter coverage is quite typical as well. And it wasn't this all there. That's fine. Okay, so a 22.7 there. Very nice game. Honestly, could have been better if I clicked Nigeria a little bit more considerately, or with more consideration, but yeah, not too bad. Next one here, immediately I was thinking that this was going to be somewhere in Mexico. The longer I look at it, the less I believe, though. So, what made me originally think Mexico was these concrete poles, which, to be fair, I can't really tell if they're, like, octagonal or round, because Mexican ones will almost always be octagonal. Let's have a wooden pole here, which is sus. But more specifically, behind my webcam, and you can probably see it around here, is weird architecture made of concrete. So, I'm really not quite sure what to make of that. Could that be something entirely different? I think so. Look, I was quite thrown for a minute there, but after a little bit of consideration, I do see black water tanks on like all these buildings, so Latin America makes a lot of sense. And then this old kind of style architecture can be seen in Mexico, not to mention this kind of tree, which you often associate with the Mexican, like Mexico City area. So I think it is best. Now let's see if we can use sun to confirm here. Sun seems to be to the south, so yeah, I'm gonna go for it here, guys. It is a weird round, but let's just see if we're right. And it was Mexico City area, indeed. Okay, that makes sense. I guess you would probably see most of the old buildings around there, so yeah. Okay, next one here is hard. Very, like, poor quality, like patchy road here. Not really sure what to make of that. I thought of Poland as one of the main options here. Maybe like Lithuania as well could work quite nicely. I don't think it's Russia. I don't know, the road quality is just kind of strange here. It makes it a difficult round. I was basically going to go Poland anyway, but I think I have spied a Polish bollard in the distance here, so assuming it's not baiting me, it does look particularly red. I think we would tend to go Poland here then. So wish us luck. And it was Poland, and wow, I had a good vibe here. This was right on the Belarusian border, and right on the Lithuanian border, which is, yeah, another one of my thoughts. So that, it makes sense, and we're on 17 here, guys, so almost halfway to what we need. Really tall wooden poles here. I would say this was BC, but I am kind of worried that it could be elsewhere in the US. That's probably the other option here. Of course, it can be the other side of Canada, but that's fine for us. But it does seem hilly here, so I would send Canada here over the US. Alaska is still well possible. Honestly, it does kind of look like Alaska, and there are lots of Alaskan types of rounds in this map. However, one thing I've heard is that Alaska, being so far north, tends to have a lot of like similar species trees growing together, and so we have like a lot of diversity in what trees are growing here. I think this should be more Canadian. Let's see. And it was Alaska. Oh my gosh. Fake meta. That was so many different tree species going on. But if you guys know anything about that, I don't know. It was one guy who commented that, and it has worked for me in the past, but yeah, I probably could have switched there. I think those polls felt quite Alaskan in a way that's hard for me to describe. But okay, we'll go for one more attempt here. Wherever we die now, we die. And let's hope that we don't get back-to-back really good streaks, because sometimes it happens and you're just like, why did I not get that 50-50? It's just, it can be so frustrating. It really can be. Okay, so that was an easy 2 last rounds for that seed. We would have been on to 20 now, but alas, it's not to be. So let's just head in here again. Lots of ads on this, 301, 304. I think it was Brazil, right? Though it is kind of strange. Could this still be Europe? I'm actually not too sure here. So what language is it? It looks like it might be Brazilian, Portuguese. We have an electricity counter as well here, which feels good. Though, could it just as easily be Colombia? We don't have any cars to speak of here, so it's kind of difficult to say, actually. So what about the language here again? I don't see anything. We have dollars. What about the rest of the pole here? I mean, it is round. Obviously, that's more common in Colombia, so why not? I'm just thinking this is probably Colombia with the concrete road. It does seem significantly more likely to me than it was Bogota there. Wow, interesting one. Not often that you can't use number plates, so it makes it difficult to remember. Here we have the really bright camera, plus the bollards makes it an easy lap here. Next one here, Hungarian bollards, I suppose. Could this be? Yeah, it is Hungarian bollards. I was wondering if this could be Bulgaria, because Bulgaria has this kind of spotty road very often, but I think we just trust the bollards here, and we do indeed. Next one here, and the reason I was kind of scared there is because Bulgaria does like have like a bunch of different bollards that they use. It's just not often that you even see bollards there. The next one here, red soil, left-hand drive, white, yellow inner line, has to be Kenya, I think, so we'll send it in here. Was just north of the capital there. Next one here, some Australia, should be somewhere out in Queensland here. Pretty easy and straightforward route, and we actually picked the right area, which is nice. So there you go, another 24.3 or 23.4 there. So that's actually a pretty nice seed as well. Let's try and build up here on this last attempt. This is Czechoslovakia. Now, I think we just trust that this is Czechia. It's very flat for Slovakia, meaning that we would basically have to be in Slovakia like here or here. And I think vibes-wise, Czechia is better anyway. So we'll see. And it was indeed there. So yeah, just an advantage of having seen these things a lot of times. That's oftentimes what Geoguessr comes down to. This I thought was Brazil with the stilts kind of wooden house here. Then again, I'm trying to think where in Brazil, and then it becomes a little bit more difficult for me. So sun does appear to be north. I like that. Could this ever be Indonesia, like Sumba Island or something like that? I don't think it's out of the question here, guys. So I'm gonna have to convince myself not to go there here, I think. South Africa is actually possible, so I'm actually in like dealings with 3 different continents here, which is a bit scary. I don't know, I still feel like Brazil's good, but why is the soil so like yellow if it's Brazil, where you typically have that red soil? I don't know about that. Maybe I actually do like Indonesia better here. I definitely do recall seeing Indonesian rounds that looked similar. So I may actually try that over Brazil here. And I think the main reason is the soil color being a bit wrong and the trees feeling strange as well. So I'll try Sumba here. And it was Cambodia, actually a country I thought of, but I thought that's far too dry. And this is in a green section. So that is like a really good learning round for next time. But guys, thank you very much for watching the video all the way to the end. I massively appreciate it. Do give it a like if you enjoyed. And I will see you guys in a video very soon, where we'll try and get on that leaderboard once again. But until then, goodbye guys.